Welcome back, guys. Today we are here with the patch notes of update 8.1. And we got some interesting patch notes today. We got some interesting patch notes. I know patch notes are usually always fun to look at. And if you can see how based off the image, we have a handful in we have a handful in front of us already with the new Pan American battleships also coming to the game. But first, let's talk about probably the single biggest change this game has had. I feel like I said that every update now there's a new game when there's no update, the single biggest change. But this is definitely one of the biggest changes the game's ever had in a long time, fundamentally speaking. And that is because it is single row matchmaker, which means that in essence all the servers will have, in random battles at least, all the servers will have their matchmakers combined. So from the way I've heard it, and the way I'm going to describe it, is the way it works is matchmaker will work as usual. If you're, let's say, on North American server, the game will still try to prioritize North American players. But if it doesn't see enough North American players on to get a full match, they'll grab players from other servers into your random battle matchmaker to fill the gaps. That's the way I've heard it. That's the way I'm gonna hope it's gonna work. That will make the most sense. So yeah. Now, obviously, the main benefit of this is less bots. Matchmaker takes is faster. And obviously you get to face people from different servers. The downside potentially is lag. That is like the main downside potential. We haven't seen how it goes. We haven't seen if the matchmaker just breaks itself on the day, so we really don't know what to expect. Hopefully everything goes well. Hopefully there's no bugs, because if there's bugs, it's gonna be a serious problem. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this change. And yeah, really big change for the game. So good to see. Hopefully, this gets implemented in the future for other game modes, training rooms, etc. Also, hopefully in the future we can like actually like add people, because as of right now, I'm not sure we're able to necessarily add people to our friends list or invite them from other servers at them with this specific version of it. So we'll have to wait. Super Ship Season, Maelstrom. Actually, I don't think I'm pronouncing that right. I forgot how to pronounce that. All super ships are going live this season. Okay, I have to be honest. Can we just give it a break with the super ships for a bit? Like, I appreciate that we're getting super ships, like, consistently, which means that we do get the compensation faster. But like, we need a bit of a break from it. Like, give us like a patch or something between before we can get super ships again. Because I feel like we're kind of just getting hammered by them consistently. Maybe add some new super ships in this time period as well, instead of just bringing them all back. Because this is, they're gonna all be coming back. They say that they're gonna be, closely monitoring their pick rate and stuff, but we all know what's gonna happen once they come back. We all know the Edgars are gonna return to their usual spamming ways. So yeah, that's the new super ship season. They're all coming back. There's really nothing else to say. They said they brought a leash for Edgar. Yeah, we're gonna see why there really isn't a leash in the minutes. The other big thing in this update, the new tech trio rival, the Pan American battleships. I've tested these ships. I can't speak on these ships. I wish I could. I cannot speak on them in the moment. Yeah, this is a brawling battleship line. That's what this is. Brawling battleship line. Yeah, they have a combat instruction. Yeah, that's all I can really say right now. Yeah, new feature: alternative torpedoes. This is gonna be debuting on one of the new ships, Minigumo, and it's about time we get alternative torpedoes in this game. Like we've taken a while for it to get here, but it's here now. So okay, new game mechanic. That's always nice. Yeah, for right now though, it is exclusive to Minigumo. New unique equipment, so new legendary mods, so new leg mods. Goliath leg mod, 8% rage, 5% disparition, 8% conceal. Now, if that looks suspiciously similar to something that's already in the game, You'd be correct because Hindenburg leg mod gives 8% range, but with a 12% concealment nerf. It doesn't get the reload buff, but so yeah, Goliath leg mod is just a way better version of Hindenburg leg mod because you get reload, a free reload mod, and you get conceal. Oh, yes, better concealed, still concealed nerf, but not as bad as Hindenburg's. Now, I can't say which slot it's in right now, but if it was in the first slot, Goliath leg mod would be pretty cracked. If it was in the second slot, it would probably be more cracked, to be honest. And if it was in the third slot, it'd be trash. But yeah, I mean, yeah. If it's first or second slot, we have ourselves a winner here for one of the best leg mods in the game. Marseille, Marseille leg mod. Oh no, Marseille leg mod. It gives dispersion, slightly worse traverse speed in return, and slightly worse survivability. Okay. Is it necessarily a bad leg mod? Not really. It still helps. The dispersion's always great to have on the Marseille with the state of Marseille. You won't really notice the turret traverse speed because Marseille is usually battle tanking anyways. The base matter survivability is a bit unfortunate, but you know, what can we do? But like, it's still Marseille. Like, even if it was, let's say, second slot, and you could run another dispersion mod, you'd still be a Marseille. Like, that's the kind of the fundamental problem. Is like Marseille's output is just so limiting. Even if it had cracked dispersion, like you would need like Slava dispersion to making these guns really worthwhile. And I'm not sure minus 15% is gonna be enough to make a Slava dispersion quite yet. Because you still have to factor in the sigma of the ship as well. So you know, I mean, the Marseille is just it's in a sad state. So I have very low expectations for this light mod being used, and yeah, Marseille. The next one is Louisiana because we all asked for Louisiana leg mod, right? Yeah, it's just Reptile Plains. Kind of boring. That is just plane focused, to be honest. There's not like any gun buffs. You know, maybe an AA buff would have been interesting, but nope, just plane buffs. Yeah. If you like Louisiana and you like spamming Louisiana because you like planes, I guess this is a cool leg mod. It really doesn't matter the slot. But honestly, if you're building your Louisiana this heavy for planes, you might as well just play a CV at that point. Not that I want everybody to start playing CVs, but I just don't see the reason to play Louisiana if you're going to build this heavy into planes. So, unless you're just CV sniping, but I don't know if everybody in this game who plays Louisiana is actually CV sniping. So, yeah, Louisiana's kind of whatever. The new themes for the blitz passes. I actually like that they keep doing this because it's actually a really nice idea. You can just see what's coming up. In May we have the Celestial Fleet. And it's going to be including the new battleship, the Tier 8 British battleship, Prince of Wales. So a new Blitz exclusive ship and a new sister ship. In June, we will have a bit of a Commonwealth focus, and we will have another new Blitz exclusive ship in the Tier 7 cruiser Sydney. So that's pretty cool. So some things to look forward to. In case you're wondering, Prince of Wales is a King George V class battleship, historically speaking, and Sydney is historically speaking a Leander class cruiser. Yeah, so the new items, you know, the titles, the frames, the camos, some milestones. This is actually the collection book. So yeah, that's a pretty cool title. Tasmanian Devil. That's a pretty cool title. Yep. So that's pretty cool. All these camels that we have no images for. Kind of unfortunate. I would have liked to have seen these camels images. Yes, you are seeing that right. That is a 2075 camel for the Tianjin. Nice. Okay. Yeah. Also note want to make one quick note. Wargaming actually, I think, for one of the rare times, Wargaming actually has the the name of the camo in a different language. So like for the entire Libertad line, they have, you know, all the Spanish names, or Portuguese in the case of Ipiranga, actually, I should say. So yeah, standard commanders, epic commanders, legendary commanders. Actually a bit low. I mean, I guess last update we got this spoiled by the whole Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles collab. So I guess there's naturally less commanders, but this is also pretty low on commanders as well for what we usually get in the past few patches. New cosmetics. I mean, you can kind of just read through this. I mean, nothing to see here really. Daily login rewards. For May, you get the Epic Commander Manco, which if you don't know what this commander is, this is the Pan American Epic Commander, and he is the fully prepared plus commander. That's kind of all he does. If you don't realize, the Pan American battleships are also in that roadmap. I think are in early access in May. Ah, yes. So everyone's gonna have this commander basically on their Libertads. That's amazing. There's already a lot of concern around Libertad's balancing, just based off of how it is on PC. So seeing stuff like this, just kind of like, oh, okay, well, yeah. So, but if you don't plan to grind that line and you plan to just grind San Martin, Manco's a pretty good commander for San Martin because he has better heals. So for June, we have a portrait and a title, basically. Oh, actually, there's the bold crossfire time camouflage or Salem Celestial. I don't know what this camouflage looks like, so okay. New premium ships, yes. The stuff that everyone looks forward to. Well, besides the second part of this patch that I'm going to get to in a second, but one of the parts everybody looks forward to, new premiums. So obviously, as we mentioned, we have the Sydney, the Tier 7 Commonwealth cruiser, a Leander class cruiser, the Prince of Wales, a KGV class, two very historical ships. Another historical ship is a Togo, actually. After so many years, a Togo is finally releasing the game, which is kind of incredible. If you're wondering, Togo is a Takao class. Well, is it Miyoko or is it Takao? It's one or the other. I actually genuinely forgot right now. The other ship we're getting is a Minigumo. Now, what concerns me about Minigumo is we have Yugumo at Tier 9. Now, Yugumo at Tier 9 is tied or maybe definitively the single worst Tier 9 destroyer in the game right now. Because there's the Kagero at Tier 9 with worse torp reload. Minigumo might just end up being a premium Yugumo that's just better. I can't say if it is or isn't, but that's my main concern with it. New Tier 10 European cruiser, the Svea. Now, if you don't know what Svea is, Svea in World of Warcraft, the PC version, is essentially a Ragnar that went to McDonald's a bit too much. It's a Ragnar that's a cruiser now, that has 7 guns of 152s, has some torps, I think, in PC. Yeah. I'm actually very interested in it because I've actually been looking forward to the ship coming from PC, so I'm actually looking forward to Svea as somebody who really mains a lot of European destroyers. Commissar, why are we getting Commissars beyond me? Before Brisbane would be nice to have the light cruiser Brisbane wargaming if you're looking at this. Yeah. So Commissar is a Soviet tier 10 cruiser. It's a hybrid. A hybrid, yes, it's a hybrid. A Soviet hybrid. That's all I'm gonna say. Hooray! Speaking of hybrid, there's still one more left, which is a Black Nebraska, which I don't think anybody cares about because Nebraska actually sucks. So, yeah, that one really doesn't matter. But the rest of the ships are actually all interesting in their own ways. Okay. So, the comparison system is back. Fantastic. Thank goodness. It should never have left us the way it did. So, thank goodness it's back to where it is. When I saw this, I was actually very confused. New icon display deep water torpedoes. So when a ship features deep water torps, you now see the deep water torpedo icon when entering battle. So when you're like, see all the ship lineups, you'll see the deep water torp icon. I guess that's nice. Um, I don't really know what the problem was here because you could already see Deepwater Torp's icons in the water, and usually a Pan Asian ship or in the other case Japanese ship may have them. So they're really restricted to their nations. So why it needed to happen, I'm not completely sure, but it's nice, I guess. We'll take it. Um, ship ship tree UI update. So now when you're grinding your lines, there'll be some lot some silver gold lines to reflect your progress in the ship. So that's pretty cool. That's just a nice small like little UI change that's beneficial. What is very beneficial is what's about to happen. Additional damage control kits. If you have a fourth damage control kit, um, I don't know if it's tied to the damage control itself. I'm assuming it's tied to the ship itself, that has access to the fourth damage control. If your ship has four damage controls, you take minus 25% fire and flooding duration. What this means is that you go from ticking fire as floods for 20 seconds with the ships that had this. So now, if you have this extra damage count on your ship now, I think for the rest of the battle, will be taking only 15 seconds of fire and flood damage. Now, that is a significant portion of fire and flood damage just gone, reduced out of existence. Because that's just a flat 5 seconds, which means that you just take less damage overall, which is really, really good. So it's a really nice buff to a lot of these damage control ships. Now, let me see. What are these damage control ships that are getting buffed? Okay, so basically the entire Kremlin line is getting buffed because this is the only tech line that has access to this. Tianjin has it. Okay, it's a nice buff for Tianjin. Borodino Navarin. Yes. Borodino Navarin. They both have extra damage controls. You may never have noticed because when would you use a 4 damage control, realistically speaking? But Borodino Navarin. Borodino is already the best battleship at tier 8. Navarin is also already the best battleship at tier 9. Okay. Interesting that Wargaming chose to lock it behind damage control kits and not just do like the Kremlin line in general. But, okay. Um, I forgot to mention that Black Ismail and Ship Smash also get these buffs because they're clones of the texture versions. So I forgot to mention that. And we are finally back to Wargaming's fantastic ways. We're back to the ship balancing, and oh my goodness, this might be the most ship balancing I've seen in this game in years. Literally years. The last time we had ship balancing, it was fantastic. This is on another level of ship balancing. So let's start off with this massive list of ships. Tier 2s, I don't even know why this was a thing that had to happen, but okay. So we should ignore that. Let's start with the first piece of controversy, the Gdansk buffs and nerfs, but I wouldn't even call it that. Okay, so Gdansk gets almost a half a kilometer concealment buff. Gdansk is already the best tier 10 destroyer in the game. Like, for randoms at least. And then so they nerfed the HP by 1,000. Now, Wargaming, if you're watching this, nerfing the HP of Gdansk by 1,000 does not do enough to counteract the buffs of this concealment. This means that Gdansk can outspot many well, not many, it can outspot multiple large gunboat destroyers. It can get much closer to smaller destroyers. And like the only true weakness, if you want to say, Gdansk had was that it had a bad set of concealment. That kind of weakness is kind of getting thrown out the window now, so also, I've been asking for Gdansk nerfs, not buffs. This is not what I meant by a nerf. 1,000 HP is not enough. When I ask for nerfs for Gdansk, I don't mean, 1,000 HP. And then we'll buff some concealment. No. It's just a flat 1,000 HP you're nerfing, not just the buffs. Don't do trade-offs with Gdansk. It doesn't need that. So yeah, no, Gdansk essentially got buffed. So, great. Amazing. The best destroyer tier 10 just got better. One thing that did surprise me and I was really happy to see was German destroyer buffs because I feel like the German mainline destroyers kind of been forgotten in the dust recently. All these new big gumbo DDs that hunt DDs for Golo, Gdansk, Kleber, all the premiums. Z42 really took all the stuff out. All the premium German destroyers, they're just kind of better at doing their job. So to see that they got buffed is very nice. These aren't massive buffs, but these are very, very nice quality of life buffs. So you got some HP buffs, by actually a pretty decent margin, almost 2,000 better HP, and damage reduction. That's just gonna help against DDs. That's just nice. you can kind of ignore the AA buffs because, like, honestly, the AA does not change that much. So yeah, forget about that. The next piece of controversial stuff that is going to happen is the American aircraft carrier buffs. Wargaming, I had to be honest, what were you thinking? What were you thinking? These buffs should never have happened. Should never happen again. And we should stop right here and start nerfing them back to where they were. Because this is actually ridiculous that these ships are getting buffed by this much across the board from tier 7 to 10. HP buffs on their planes, besides Midway, they're all getting dispersion buffs, which is outrageous because Essex already has better dispersion than the rest of the line. What are we doing here? American carriers are already incredibly annoying to face. Yes, yes, they are the worst. The carrier line, technically speaking. But like, we don't buff that off of that reasoning though, like because fix your dive armors first, then we can talk about game balance with Midway. Fix the dive bombers first, then we'll talk. But until that happens, this line should never have gotten touched. It technically should have gotten nerfed. They really should have gotten nerfed as a result, but they got buffed. So yeah, your midways now have about 3,000 plane HP. So yeah, hooray, let's go. S6 is even more annoying to phase. Good luck and ranked. Lexington and Rangers. So even at mid tiers, you're not safe. So whoop, big whoop. That's truly gonna be amazing for the game. Yeah, no, never should have happened. And I know a lot of people are pushing back for this because, why did it happen in the first place? So, yeah, no, American carriers, big L this update. Very big L. One of the biggest W's of this update, though, Italian cruiser buffs. How long has it been then? It's been 5 years since Venezia, man. Almost 5 years since Venezia got nerfed all that time ago. And finally, Wargaming has listened after so many years. They finally buffed them back almost to their incredible state. Brindisi, oh my goodness, I cannot say I'm saying Brindisi is getting actually buffed like this. Brindisi, Venezia, Superior are all getting a 2-second flat reload buff and they're getting dispersion buffs. Oh my goodness. What a good day to be an Italian creature player. Brindisi might actually be functional at tier 9 now, which is actually kind of incredible to say. Venezia and Superior are going to be, I would say, fantastic at tier 10 now because you buff the DPM by, buffing the DPM by a cruiser by 2 seconds flat like Venezia is very noticeable. And buffing the dispersion is also very noticeable against DDs. So, or at least it's going to be very noticeable against DDs because, Venezia, 15 shells. So, yeah, no. Applaud Wargaming for this. Finally, they've done it. Finally. Amazing stuff. British light cruisers. Okay, well, we go back to the controversial part of this update. I think we're going back and forth with these balance changes. Some good, some questionable. So ignoring the Minotaur's buffs right now, Fiji, Edinburgh, Black Edinburgh, and Neptune all got concealment buffs and they all got tour speed buffs. This is actually really good for these ships because these ships, all of their premium counterparts, were kind of just better. At tier 7, Fiji's Belfast. Belfast is so much better than Fiji. It's not even close. Edinburgh has Belfast 43. Belfast 43 is not even close to Edinburgh. And Neptune has Plymouth, which is like, okay, well, it's not even fair at this point to compare it to Plymouth. Now, Fiji getting concealment buffs is nice because that means that the Belfast. Oh, I forgot to mention the Star Trek. Fiji is also way better than Fiji. So having this buff on Fiji actually gives it a reason to be played over those ships, which I think is fantastic. Edinburgh, same thing. Neptune's is great because Neptune's original concealment was horrific. It actually shows the wrong number here, 8.34. The original concealment was actually 9 flats. So buffing it to this level of 8.1, we have a nice buff for Neptune ahead of us. So Neptune can actually get much closer to users, actually heavy DPM and Tor power over in Plymouth. So provides a different play style from those premium counterparts. The problems begin though once we look at the Minotaur buffs. Why did Minotaur get buffed? This heavy as well. It may not seem like a lot, but it is a lot because now Minotaur has the single best concealment at tier 10, with also having some of the highest AP DPM in the game, with now better torps. Yeah, I'm not sure what was going on here. Why did we get? Minnow didn't need this buff. The rest of the line, yes, but Minnow didn't need this buff. Hot Razor had to get buffed accordingly, which is somehow still worse than normal Minnow, which I think is really funny. 'Cause this is the one opportunity to like make it the same as Minnow, but now it's not even that. So okay, still worse than Minnow. Yeah, but I don't understand. I really don't. Why Minnow got buffed. So another set of cruiser buffs. There's a lot of cruiser buffs. So they, um, the petrol line got buffed. So Talon has rapid reload one. Talon is a really good tier 8 cruiser. It's gonna be a really great tier 8 cruiser after this update. Riga, oh my goodness, Riga buffs. How long has it been since we've seen this kind of on this stuff on the patch notes? It's been years since we've seen Riga on the patch notes. So rapid reload one, it's not gonna fix Riga fundamentally speaking, but we have something to work with now for Riga. We have something to work with. Petro, Petro got two more rapid reloads, so you don't have to run fire supremacy anymore. You can just run survivalist. Okay, so Petro really just got tankier as a result of this update since you don't have to run fire supremacy. So yeah, Petro's gonna be a bit of a menace after this update now with the survivability it can have, and Talon as well. Talon's gonna be a bit of a menace. Riga, it's a nice buff, but like I said, it won't fundamentally fix Riga. But again, we're in the step in the right direction. This is what I like to see. I like to see that they're actually attempting to buff these ships, and it shows that we might actually get changes for these ships more often in the future. Speaking of a line that might get buffed in the future, let's talk about basically the entire Spanish cruiser line that got buffed. It's about time, Wargaming. It's been 1 year since they've come out, so it's about time. From Asturias all the way to Castilla, we have buffs everywhere. Insert the Buzz Lightyear meme with buffs everywhere. This is basically the same buffs across the board. It's just concealment buffs, burst fire reload buffs, interval buffs between the burst fires, and AA buffs. And in the case of the higher tier ones and in Castilla, they have armor buffs and they have range buffs. Now, Asturias getting this buff is a bit outrageous because Asturias was actually already pretty good at tier 7. So now that ship's just cracked at tier 7. Catalunya also got buffs, which I thought Catalunya was actually pretty fine for its tier. It wasn't overpowered, but it wasn't like weak either. It was a pretty okay ship. So getting the buffs is okay. Now we're kind of edging the line here of what can get buffed. Andalusia and Castilla, though, they needed this. They really, really did need this. The concealment buff, huge, massive buff for the concealment. Like, just the concealment before was horrific, so you have something better to work with now. Gun range buff, amazing. I can't complain here either. Burst fire reload buff, hold my hallelujah, man. We're gaming. These ships have had some of the worst burst fire reloads for some of the worst gain of any burst fire. Finally, their burst fire is actually a reasonable reload. And in the case of Castilla, AA buff actually means a lot because Castilla actually had pretty decent AA range and pretty decent AA damage. It just needed a buff to it a bit and it'd be good. So I think the AA of Castilla actually might be, I don't want to call it some of the best, but I would say it's more usable than it was before. And obviously the big thing with Andalusia and Castilla is the main armor build getting buffed because Castilla's armor before might have been some of the worst armor I've seen in this game. It was eating citadels left, right, and center from destroyers, cruisers, battleships, CVs. Everything was eating it alive. So, yeah, just great buffs across the board for the line. Again, besides Asturias, which is a bit concerning, but the rest of the line, these are some really, really nice buffs. One thing to note is in the case of Castilla, in the case of this whole line actually, your burst fire reload matches 2 salvos of your normal reload. So you actually don't lose any DPM using burst fire. Yeah, we're gonna have to see how that works out with Castilla because the DPM is gonna be interesting. But yeah, the shock on my face when I see Dutch cruiser buffs in the year 2025. Wargaming remembered this ship line existed. Oh my goodness! Now I will say these aren't really any crazy buffs. They're just range buffs, which is nice. The gun range gets better. Yeah, this isn't gonna change anything. Dutch cruisers are still gonna be a very sad line of cruisers. I wish they got the same kind of love that the Spanish cruisers just got in their buffs, but yeah, sorry to say that Golden Line will still not be a very good ship, even with like Mud. Premium ship buffs. San Francisco got a concealment buff. Okay. Back to the German destroyers, by the way. Z35, ZF6, and Z44 all got these buffs. Okay, that's nice. I thought the idea was kind of like to buff the tech trees, like we leave the premiums alone because the premiums are already pretty good. But okay, ZF6 is picking way better. We'll take it, I guess. One ship that also did not need buffs was the Blue Hair. 11 second base reload turned to 9.5. Buff concealed by point 0.6 or point 0.5, I should say. We have ourselves another controversial one here. The Blue Hair. Yeah, Blue Hair is already a very strong tier 8 cruiser, one of the best tier 8 cruisers right now in the game. You know, the only thing stopping it at this point is like DZP's presence existing at tier 8. So besides DZP, Blue Hair might actually end up being the best tier cruiser in the game now. So yeah, the only weakness you had against Hipper was you had a slightly worse reload. That just got removed out the window. So nice, thank you, Wargaming. The ship totally needed buffs. It did not need buffs. A ship that desperately needed buffs was Turpitz, though. Turpitz, not that it was necessarily the worst tier A battleship, but Turpitz was definitely aging a bit. So this is a nice quality of life buff to the Turpitz and the Ignis Brigatio, where they get some better torpedo damage, better torp reload, better turret traverse, and better armor, and better shell velocity. Solid stuff overall. I mean, can't really complain. It's a nice. I always like to see nice, solid quality of life changes instead of these radical changes that just maybe make the ship too strong or just don't do anything. So nice. Like to see that. Morgania got a dispersion buff. Okay, Wargaming. Not sure where that information came from that should be needed a buff, but okay. Morgania might be kind of insane now. Okay. Nerfs. This is the like only set of nerfs I think in this whole patch. Um Edgar got a nerf. Now, Edgar in the game right now is a serious problem. It is the single most overpowered ship in the game by a long shot. Like OG Atlantico doesn't have anything on Edgar right now. So they nerfed it. But they didn't do enough. They nerfed the burst fire by 1.9 seconds. And they nerfed the concealment by zero point 0.6. Okay. In theory, that's like, okay, that's some nice nerfs. You know. Then you realize Edgar has smoke 3, it still has radar 3. The burst fire still does 25% pen and 50% damage, so yeah. Also, if you're wondering what the DPM is now with burst fire, you went from about over 100k EP DPM with yes, 100 over 100,000 before with burst fire on to now just normal Minotaur DPM with burst fire. So wow, that's a really crazy change for the ship. You went from the second highest AP DPM to the third highest AP DPM. I feel like we're just going down the ranking by one at this point. So okay. Well, the concealment nerf is, I guess, more significant, but I mean, still like smoke 3, like you still have so much utility. Like Edgar still needs a lot of nerfs, a lot of nerfs. So yeah, this is just like a slap on the toe. Really, I wouldn't even them saying it was on a leash is a bit an exaggeration of what they actually did. Hanover actually got nerfs, but the wrong things. I mean, people were calling Hanover actually a bit weak, which I thought was pretty funny. Um, because Hanover is like really just the best battleship in the game right now. But anyways, secondary nerfs. I don't know why we're nerfing the secondaries. I feel like the main concern here is the fact that you know Hanover moves like a Montana, but better, despite having like the best armor in the game in HP. So I don't know. This feels like an unnecessary nerf on the wrong part of Hanover. They should have nerfed the mobility a little bit just to make it a little bit more balanced. But okay. Bug fixes. Speaking of bug fixes, Wargaming, this is not a bug fix. You should have put this in the ship balancing. Navarin second and third turrets are now 360. Okay. That is not a bug fix, Wargaming. I don't know who called this a bug. I certainly didn't call this a bug. Yeah, the 360 rotation. So now Navarin can basically bow take you. Because you can just swing around his turrets in the back and just, okay, well, Navarin was already the best turn on battleship. We didn't have to make it any better. So, okay, Wargaming, if that's the route you want to go with Navarin, okay. I don't know who thought this was a bug fix. And then some other, bug fixes. I think they have here, yes, the red dot notification. That's a big one because that was really annoying in the previous update. So yeah, that's pretty nice. So yeah, what's next? They'll still be improving the single row matchmakers. This is so the the general matchmaker. They have a fast game mode they want to offer. I don't know what a fast game mode could be on a 7 minute game already. So okay, I guess we'll see what that is. A new torpedo type for French destroyers. I have a bit of a smile on my face when I saw this text. New torpedo type for French destroyers. Okay. Yeah. So Wargaming, when are you releasing that alternative to French destroyer line from PC? Cassard. I'll be here to wait. I'll be here waiting for that. It's okay. Beginning of visual enhancements across the game, starting with Skybox, something they mentioned last update. Okay. A work to improve the weapon switch system. Can't speak, man. It's early, way too early in the morning for this. Making it early, easier, and more responsive to switch between all types of weaponry mid-fight. Okay. And finally, why is it always in the bottom of the list? The bot behaviors are still being investigated in the battles. I feel like this is gonna be something we're gonna hear for a while now. I hope they just kind of like in the future they just put bot behavior stuff fixed, like they're working on it like at the very top so people are aware of it still. But okay. So yeah, that's the end of this update. Long video, but this is also a long, a large update that had a lot of stuff to cover. So yeah, um, that'll be it for me. What are your thoughts on the update? I think personally this is a good update, but I think there's also a lot of problems that have to be addressed. Midway buffs, why are they getting buffed? Minnow, why is it getting buffed? Gdansk, why is it getting buffed? Edgar didn't get nerfed hard enough. Single row matchmaking, a lot of questions to be answered there. How good will it work in actual practice? And but all the other stuff, generally speaking, though, good stuff for this game. Also, we're gonna have to see and find out how Pan American Balances play. I know, we're all concerned. We're all concerned. Even I when I'll talk about the ships, I'll talk about the ships, but we're all really concerned about the situation of those ships, based off their reputation of World of War's PC being really broken. So yeah, but that'll do for me. I'll see you guys next time, and yeah, goodbye.